kids already know that mom and dad don't have a clue. The other statistic I want to share with you is that many of our young brothers and sisters are meeting with each other around the world, around the country, on these chat rooms. And they're talking about everything. And in the chat room, they're doing everything they can do but touch, smell, and taste each other. Now, I may be a bit graphic, and you might, as I move along, get a little bit irritated, but doesn't make me any difference. I'm going to give you the information, and you can do with the information what you want to do with the information. My job as a sociologist, or my job as a teacher, or my job as a brother, is to tell you, brothers and sisters, what the real deal is. Before we go into the topic about the marriage, so you don't just think we're talking about something which is like abstract, something like religious, you know, something we're just talking about that's just like, you know, some ayats of Quran, some kind of nasiha, you know, something spiritual, that this is the real deal. And if you don't do something about it, your family center, that means the center and fabric of your family is going to collapse. It is going to collapse. You will be kufi wearing, hijab wearing, cultural walking, talking, eating Muslims, but basically your ethics and your values as a family, as a nation, would have collapsed because you didn't follow the sunnah, because you didn't heed the advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you put Islam in a prison. And one of the scholars said, the problem with the Muslim world today, it is not the opposition of the Kafirs or what they're doing to us. The problem with the Muslim world today is that the Muslims have put Islam in a cultural prison and locked it up. And Islam cannot get out because the Muslims got the cultural key to the cultural prison. And with their culture, they are outside, Islam is on the inside. Neither can anyone see Islam, nor can anyone visit Islam, and nor can the people benefit from Islam, because it is inside the cultural prison. And most of our problems, brothers and sisters, it is not George Bush and it is not Tony Blair. This is an excuse. They are a punishment which Allah put on us as a result of putting Islam in the cultural prison. Now that's what we need to know. Now some of your young brothers and sisters who I talk with a lot, most of the lectures I've given 173 lectures in the last 2 years in the UK. 20 in the last 25 days. Primarily in universities, colleges, sixth form schools, A-levels. Why? Because I like to relate to the young people, because the old people is like hard rocks. The old folks are too difficult to deal with. And unless I got 40, 50 people with me, I don't want to deal with the old folks. The young people, however, the young people, however, can somebody just troubleshoot this for us so we can... Maybe the topic just too hot. Shaitan don't want us to give this message. Okay, if we are unable to do that, let me just see if I can. Huh? Is that right now? Bismillah.
Yeah.
We'll just go from here, inshallah. So Islam has been locked up into a cultural prison. We Muslims, you see, in the past, as Islam evolved, Islam came in contact with many cultures around the world. The Roman culture, the Persian culture, the African culture, the Indian culture, the European culture, the Chinese culture. But in that time, the iman of the Muslims was deep, and the knowledge was wide, and their commitment was strong. And because their iman was deep, and their knowledge was wide, and their commitment was strong, when the Muslims entered the Kafir countries, when the Muslims themselves came in contact with non-Muslim culture, they can't hear? The sisters can't hear? They can't hear me over there?
That's what they're saying.
Let's try it again. Bismillah. Can they hear now?
Yeah.
Very good. So, in the early history, and for at least 500 years of the Islamic history, the iman of the Muslims was deep, and their knowledge was wide, and their commitment was strong. So when they came in contact with other cultures, even though those cultures had existed for some 2,000 years, sometimes 1,800, 700, when we get to China, almost 3,000 years, what happened? Islam dominated the culture. And the culture fit into Islam. And so Islam became the strainer. And the culture of the other people was poured through the strainer of Islam, and what was inside, left in the strainer, was thrown out. The haram, the fawahish, the foolishness from the people's culture was thrown out. But anything that was good in their culture, anything that synthesized, anything that met with Islam and agreed with Islam was kept and made better. And one of the beautiful things about this is that when the people saw the benefit of Islam, most of them accepted. They saw that when the Muslims came, in many cases, the Muslims only had confrontation with them just a few months. After a few months, and the people saw the benefit, they said, man, this is better than what we had. And they accepted and they capitulated. This is what happened in many countries across the world. Today, it has reversed. Now today, when Muslims come in contact with other cultures, Muslims capitulate. That is, Muslims assimilate. Muslims throw off Islam. They just keep their names because they can't get rid of that. They keep their food because they like the taste of that. They keep their language because that allows them to communicate. But their iman is shallow. Their knowledge is dayyq, very narrow. And their commitment to the deen is weak. So when the unbelievers see that, when they see that our iman is not like that before, those people they came in confrontation with, when they see that our knowledge, that they got better knowledge of Islam academically than we do. And when they realize that our commitment is narrow, weak, then they set into motion to re-educate us. And they begin re-educating us from childbirth. They re-educate us. So here we are in a situation today where Islam in the UK, for instance, most Muslims that are here in the